Entitled men leaving their drinks on our table didn't expect us to fight back, until we did. So I got into a fight with 2 people tonight. The reason in itself was very dumb. But God, I was just tired of it. I met up today with 2 friends, Clara and Jenny, fake names. We went out to a bar and sat on one of the tables outside. There was a TV on the bar, so there were many people watching a football match with different drinks. We got our drinks and after a while, a man came, left his drink on our table and left. We looked at each other like, what the hell? The bar is literally 5 feet apart, and there weren't even that many people. He could have easily put his glass there instead of on our table, but whatever. We kept talking and drinking, and after a while there was another man who left his finished drink at our table. I can leave this here, right? He asked, didn't even wait for our answer and left. Again, what the hell, we were annoyed, but whatever. Then came a polite guy, and he asked us if he could leave his drink on our table for a bit because he was waiting for a friend. It was cold and his hands were freezing. We said, yeah, of course you can, man, no worries. He even offered to put it on the floor if it annoyed us, but we had no problem with it. Gave the drink to his friend, thanked us, then they left. And after a while, another drink was left on our table. The guy didn't even look at us, he just put it there and it was obvious it wasn't finished. So I had enough. It may seem petty, but you aren't sitting at this table, therefore you don't use it. If he had asked us if he could leave it there for a moment like the previous guy, we would have had no problem, but he didn't. Rude. So I took the drink, got up, walked towards him and offered it to him. Me, excuse me, this is yours. Him.
What the? Is it bothering you that much?
Yeah, it is. It hasn't been the first time and we aren't the bar. If you're finished with your drink, the bar is 5 feet apart from you. A friend of his took the man's drink and put both his and his friend's drink on our table to piss us off. So I got up, grabbed the drinks and took them to the bar. I knew they weren't finished and I knew they'd be annoyed, but that's what happens when I run out of patience. I don't care anymore. They said I was being ridiculous while I walked away, and when I came back, Clara was yelling at one of them and tugging on one of the men's arm. I then saw she had my umbrella in her hand and I realized that while I was returning the drinks, they had tried to steal my umbrella and Clara was getting it back for me. Jenny had been in shock, but at that she started arguing as well. They got more and more rude, saying how we had no manners when I had been nothing but polite with them. It was only when they yelled at us that we started to yell back at them. We kept telling them it wasn't their table, and that if it was only for a moment they could have asked us and we wouldn't have minded at all. At one point, to piss us off, one of them got dirty cans that had been on the floor and put them on our table. I threw them away while still arguing with them. One of their friends apologized to us and looked so embarrassed. They went away for a bit and one of them came back for more, until we pointed out how he was a grown 50-year-old man harassing and arguing with women in their 20s over a table and a drink. The friend that had been supporting knew at that moment that they were embarrassing themselves, because he came back and told him, "Come on, man, you're an adult. If you want to watch the football match on the TV, then fine. And if you want to get a drink and there aren't any tables left, then that's a you problem." If they had asked like the third polite guy, we wouldn't have minded, but instead they blew it up because that's how drunk and bored they were. There were even people on our side telling them to leave us alone. I feel a bit silly now that I have a more clear head for how I behaved, but God, I was just so tired of people using our table as if it was theirs at that moment. I never insulted them, by the way. When I say I screamed at them, I mean that I kept remarking how it was our table and to leave us alone. Edit 1. I'm seeing a lot of comments saying the staff should have done something or wondering why we didn't tell the staff. First of all, in my country, there aren't bouncers at bars, they are at discos. The concept of drinking here is very different to the American one. In my country, it's very normal to see parents drinking peacefully at a bar while their children play on a nearby park, or for their children to join them and have a soda or a non-alcoholic drink. It's normal for people to be at a bar with friends at 11 a.m. on a Saturday and having a drink with them. Second, most people who are outside drinking would go to the bar, get the drink, pay for it, then leave and drink it outside. Finally, it was busier inside than outside and there weren't many workers, and the ones who were working were doing everything at once, with some of them acting as both waiters and as bartenders. It wasn't very crowded, but there were still a lot of people they had to take care of. They probably didn't even see nor hear what was going on outside due to how many people were inside. They were just two drunk, idiotic men, and we were able to handle them. It all happened pretty fast anyway. Edit 2. I've seen some people say that it's a public table. We weren't at the long bar table, where people usually leave their drinks so that the bartenders can get them from the other side to clean them. We were outside, at a small square table, and said table had 4 chairs for people to sit down on. Imagine you go to a restaurant to have lunch with your family. You get served your first plate, and a stranger suddenly puts his drink on your table. That's the kind of table we were on, but smaller. Let's listen to some comments from the community and answers from the author before the end of the video.
They probably do the same thing at home, expecting their wives to take care of it.
I came here to say this. I'd be asking if they thought I worked there, or if I was his wife. Very effing loudly. By the way, the bigger the bully, the easier they are to bring down. You don't need brawn, just a backbone and an attitude. Strong women scare them. I might even be considered enough to take their abandoned drinks to the bar. Let them be dumped.
Question: where were the waiters, bartenders, or bouncers while all this yelling and bullying was going on?
There weren't any bouncers. I don't know how it is where you live, but in my country the bouncers are at discos, not at bars. As for the waiters, there weren't a lot of them. I think they were short-staffed or something, because some of them were acting as both bartenders and waiters. Even though there weren't a lot of people compared to other times with other football matches, it was still pretty busy inside, and there were more people inside than outside, so they probably didn't hear it nor see it.
Good for you. They should have gotten their own table.
Yeah, but if they had, they probably wouldn't have been able to watch their little football match with all the people who were standing up.
I think I might have returned those drinks to them without the glasses.
Believe me, I was tempted to do that too, but they were bigger and stronger than us, and at one moment it looked like one of them was going to hit Clara, but he contained himself. So yeah, if I were a big strong man maybe I would have, but I'm pretty small and I didn't want to get hit. Thank you for listening to this story. Let me know in the comments if you agree with the community. What would you have done in that situation? And for those who stayed to the end, thank you. If you like this type of content, feel free to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. See you soon.